Joe's Inner Child Podcast.
Welcome back and Merry Christmas. Today's episode is a really fun one. Lexi and I speak with Tim Hedrick, who is the writer of Voltron Last Defender, as well as Avatar, The Last Airbender, and Avatar, The Legend of Korra. So we dig pretty deep into both Avatar series. We also speak with director Bret Haaland about his time on Simpsons and Futurama, so there's a lot of great stuff for fans of animation. So I hope you guys enjoy and have a great holiday.
Literary Joe's Inner Child Podcast.
I am a huge fan of Avatar, The Last Airbender. I was Tylee for Halloween this year. And I have a few questions, if that's okay.
Okay.
So I know you wrote a lot from the beginning, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
came in like midway through season 1.
Yes. And I know you were a staff writer, and then what is the difference between staff writer and having just the official writer's credit?
You can get a writer's credit if you're a freelancer. So if you write an episode, then you get credit on the episode. So staff writer just means you're there every day and you're getting your weekly paydays.
Well,
mostly a medical insurance.
Well, I know you worked on the Sokka's Master episode.
Yes.
And the moon sword he
Mm-hmm.
receives. Was that really meant to be like an interpretation from his past girlfriend Yue, that she was giving him this type of meteor to work with?
No, it wasn't. But I love that interpretation. No.
Was it just something cool?
It was absolutely just something cool. We were like, what can Sokka have that no one else would have that, would be an awesome thing to make a sword out of? And we said meteorite. So that was it.
No, yeah. I like it. I like that because that's Sokka. And you've worked with a lot of the different characters helping their story arcs. Is there one that you completely fell in love with and loved seeing it come to pass? And this includes Legend of Korra as well. Just whatever character you're like, they needed this. I'm glad they got there. You did it, kid.
Well, wow, that's interesting. I wasn't prepared for my Korra questions. I could have done some more research, but I really liked Toph a lot because, that's a character that I was, all the other characters were there kind of when I came in. So I came in as a freelancer halfway through, pitched a bunch of ideas. They liked it. I joined the show. Toph was a character that came on while I was there. So I was part of the, inception of that and how she would integrate into the team and grow and all that stuff. And so that was really fun. And so to see her kind of develop she was always a badass, so it wasn't like, oh, now she can. I will say the metal bending thing is, that's a pretty big development that Toph brought into the show, right? So that was exciting to like create a whole new kind of bending that would exist, and that she would be have the inception of that. So that was cool. And then, obviously to carry them on forward into Korra and see them grow up and change and all that. That was really exciting.
Yeah, Lin Beifong, it has to be one of the coolest characters ever. I know, yeah. I'm a huge Avatar fan, but Lin takes the cake for me.
Right from the start, when she's got, you see her and she's got that scar and she's kind of like, I'm watching you, and all that,
Very, very Sokka move. Well, I also wanted to ask or see if Joe had any questions about Bret's involvement on Futurama.
I did want to involve Bret for a little bit because
I did. No,
I feel like he's just been in the shadows. Literally, because we can't see him, but he's just hiding there, and I want to make sure he feels a little involved. Also, my girlfriend would kill me if I didn't ask you about your Futurama writing. I know you worked on The Simpsons a bit, which I'm assuming kind of brought you into Futurama, but you have about almost a dozen Futurama episodes credited to you. So I'm curious about what exactly you contributed to the series, and also what you took away from it that kind of helps you with Spy Racers.
That's a great question. Dig back into my memory there. I was involved with a lot of development on that visually. I did all of the hand-drawn turns of all the characters as we were gearing up for the season, and then directed a number of episodes, including there's one where Bender gets the chance to be a human and he pigs out and becomes so incredibly obese that he dies. And that was fun. There was one where Richard Nixon gets to be a robot, even though he's just a head in a jar. So I had fun with all of that. I guess what I would take from that to apply to Fast and Furious is just keeping an open mind on trying something that might not seem possible. You know, Futurama is very whimsical. So you try to pour that into our world, which is more grounded in physical reality. And I think we do some of that a little bit when you look at our 2D graphics that the characters have in their spy devices. They're fanciful. So yeah, this is a different type of show for me because my background has been more comedy. So it's been fun to sort of balance it out.
Yeah, Brett, I know you like to quote unquote move it from the Madagascar movies, which by the way was my favorite song in the 3rd grade. And
You sing while you're watching Hot Wheels.
you know, this is where I was. I know. I'm a child. Okay, but you both have worked on a lot of comedy, and I see how that has moved into the Fast and Furious show that you guys are both currently doing. But I feel like it's more of a grounded comedy for each character, because each character is funny in their own way. How do you change your character's comedy? How do you find a voice? Do you have different writers for it, or do you all find that one voice together?
We all work on all the characters together, and some of it comes from just when you create the characters and you're writing the scripts, and some of it comes out when you start to get your casting done and you meet the actors that are really going to literally give the voice to these characters and find out what they do and what kind of sounds they make that are funny that you want to hear more of. So when you've got Renee doing Ms. Nowhere, you know that it's really hilarious when she yells at Gary and she gets really upset, and so you can lean into that. And Cisco makes these really kind of great scared noises, and Tony does really good kind of self sound effects. He's kind of he makes a lot of weird noises that are really fun, and so you can kind of lean into that in their performances and direct them in that way. But I think a lot of the comedy comes from us accepting that these are kids that are kind of amateurs versus the characters in the movies that are all super alpha badasses that really, you wouldn't make fun of Vin. Vin doesn't do comedy while he's kicking someone's ass. He just does it, but these guys have a lot to learn and can fail and fall down. And so, to bring that out, I think is where the comedy comes from.
Yeah, I think that's what makes your characters so, that's why you care for them. That's why you love them, because you see them fail and you want them to do better, and they do.
Yeah, you want to root for these guys to actually become good spy racers, even though, they consistently fail. But even Ms. Nowhere is a little bit of a failure, and you kind of wonder, who gets assigned this group of kids? It's probably not the number one top agent. This is probably a kind of punishment, right? So
yeah, I'll bring the kids and they'll do this one.
Yeah.
Before I ask the final wrap-up question, Tim, I would hate myself if I didn't ask this. If there was, and this is relating to Avatar, if there was another, because I know that there's comics and a manga for Avatar: The Last Airbender. If you were to return to the show to continue seeing these characters in their adulthood, would you come back to it?
Yeah, sure. Sure. I mean, if it were going forward, I'd love to be a part of it. I still like consult on the comics. And so I was just looking at some art earlier today for those. And so I'm still kind of a part of Team Avatar. Yeah, it's an awesome franchise, and Mike and Brian are good friends. So that's, I'm excited to see anything they do. So for sure, I would go back.
That's awesome. Well, is there, before we end this nice little interview, is there anything either of you would like to plug? Anything maybe about Voltron, or even just a little thing we didn't ask about the Fast and Furious series? Just something you want to say. This is your time. Both of you, go forth and prosper.
Brett, you have anything to say?
Just compliment you on your interview and your skill at segueing into different topics.
How bad it is.
It's very entertaining. You did that very well, both of you. So thank you for having us.
Thank you.
It's hard to answer questions from this military black site in Eastern Europe. So I do appreciate the humor.
I'm glad you think my weirdness is funny. Tim, is there anything else you would like to share?
No, watch season 3 of Fast and Furious Spy Racers, 12/26.
Yeah.
I mean, you can open all your Hot Wheels on Christmas Day, and then the next day be playing with them as you watch the show.
Yeah, are you talking directly to me again?
I am absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes, talking to you.
Well, thank you both so much. I hope we get to have another discussion with you guys again, and I can't wait to see the success that comes from the show. So thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Literary Joe's Inner Child Podcast.
Thank you for listening. We appreciate your support, and we'd love to hear from you. So make sure to follow us and hit us up on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at Literary Joe. You can also find Lexi at Darth Lexi with 2 I's, and you can find Nick at Comic Brooks. For those avid readers out there, be sure to check out the articles on comicbookmovie.com for the written transcript and other cool images. Thanks again.
Literary Joe's Inner Child Podcast.